My dad was in the hospital for 92 days, yet my wife never came to visit even once. She didn't even send a single message to check on him. It wasn't until I was at home, sorting through my father's belongings, that she sent a message out of the blue. Honey, my mom took a fall. Could you come to the hospital and take care of my mom? I placed my phone face down on the table, and went back to organizing the 93 hospital bills in my hands. Soon, my phone buzzed with another message. Mom keeps asking for you. I really don't trust the caregivers here. You're so good at taking care of people, it has to be you. Seeing that I still hadn't replied, Lu Rian just decided to call me directly. I stared at her name flashing on the screen, counting to the 6th ring before I finally hit answer. Did you see my messages? The background noise on her end was really loud. Mom really needs someone to look after her right now. I absolutely cannot step away from my current project. Can you take a few days off and come over? Just for a few days. How many days, exactly? I asked, my voice totally calm. She paused for a second. Just ask for a week off first, okay? We'll see how she recovers. Oh, by the way, that porridge you make is so soft and comforting. Mom just loves the porridge you make. My dad was in the hospital for 93 days. Did you visit him even once? You didn't show up, not even one time. The line suddenly went dead silent. It was as if a loud background noise had instantly faded away. Why are you suddenly bringing that up? She asked, lowering her voice. During that time, I was just incredibly busy. I cut her off. I know, and that's why I am incredibly busy right now, too. Li Zefeng, what is that supposed to mean? Her tone was clearly annoyed now. Exactly what it sounds like. I stared out the window at the dreary, gray sky. I have my own job. I have my own life. And I have times when I'm so exhausted I can barely breathe, too. Her voice grew desperate. Can't you be a little more understanding? My mom has always treated you well, hasn't she? Yeah, she's great. Especially when she would pull you aside to whisper bad things about me. And you just stood there laughing right along with her. They were using their hometown dialect. I couldn't understand it all, but I got the gist of it. Calling my father's illness a bottomless pit of money. Don't say that. My mom was just venting a little. Let's get back to business. I'll make some time to go visit him, okay? I started. She took a sharp, deep breath. When she spoke again, her tone completely shifted. Zefeng, please, I am begging you. This project is the key to my promotion to investment director. I absolutely cannot afford to be distracted right now. Please, just help me out this once. I promise I will make it up to you later. Mom really needs family by her side right now. A hired caregiver won't be nearly as attentive as family would. I'm free tomorrow after 4 o'clock. I told her, but I can only stay for an hour and a half. An hour and a half? How is that enough? Li Zefeng, how could you be so, or you could just ask someone else for help. I interrupted her, like your cousin, for instance. Last year you told me he was out of a job and just sitting at home. He can easily come over and help take care of her. You can just pay him a salary. The line suddenly went dead. The busy signal beeped in my ear. I slowly put the phone down, my hands shaking slightly. I didn't know if it was out of anger or something else entirely. The living room lights were way too bright. They made that unopened box of protein powder painfully glaring to look at. I walked over, picked it up, and weighed it in my hands. Then, I put it away in the highest cabinet of the storage room, right next to my dad's leftover pills. The rain was still coming down. I poured myself a glass of warm water, sat down on the couch, and slowly took my time drinking it. The water was lukewarm, totally tasteless, just like the plain, empty life I've been living all these years. My phone screen lit up again. It was from Lu Rian. A hospital address and a room number. No text message, just a dropped pin. I didn't text back. The window glass reflected my face. 37 years old, fine lines creeping up around my eyes, and a shadow of stubble I forgot to shave yesterday. My dad used to tell me, Zefeng, you need to think about yourself more. But honestly, he never once thought about himself his entire life. Even at the very end, lying in that hospital bed, he would muffle his coughs. He was so terrified of waking the patient next to him, terrified of being a burden. I guess the one thing I'm best at is not bothering anyone, not even my own wife. It was getting late. The sound of the rain started to fade away. I turned off the living room lights and walked into the bedroom. Rian's pillow was sitting there perfectly neat. She always slept on the left side. I slept on the right. There was a time last year when I was constantly running back and forth between the hospital and home. Sometimes I wouldn't get back until the early hours of the morning. I'd come home to find she had locked the bedroom door from the inside. She claimed she was sleeping too heavily to hear me knock. After a while, I just gave up and started sleeping on the couch. On those lonely nights, I'd listen to the rain, counting down the days until my dad could finally come home. 93 days, counting them down, one agonizing day at a time. And now, it's her mother's turn. I lay in bed, staring blankly at the patterns on the ceiling. Tomorrow afternoon at 4 o'clock, I have to go see my mother-in-law. I'll have to see her lying there with a broken bone and listen to her probably say, "Oh, Zefeng, you're here." Or maybe she'll complain, "What took you so long?" And then, I'll stay for exactly an hour and a half. Like crossing off a chore on my to-do list. It's really no big deal. I can do it, just like I've done with everything else. Over the last 8 years of my life. Only this time, I refused to count the days anymore. Just as I was drifting off to sleep, my phone vibrated again. I squinted at the screen. It was a message from the magazine's group chat, letting everyone know there's an editorial meeting tomorrow. I typed back, "Got it." Then, I turned off my Wi-Fi and let the total darkness swallow me up. The rain had stopped. Outside, I could faintly hear the low hum of cars passing by. Autumn is almost here. This was exactly the time last year, when my dad collapsed. I curled myself up into a ball, and hugged the empty pillow next to me. What's gonna happen tomorrow? I don't know, but I do know one thing. Every single minute, every ticking second of those 93 days, is burned clearly into my memory. That smell of hospital bleach is exactly the same as last year. Nothing had changed at all. I stood at the door of the hospital room. My left arm in a cast and supported by a sling, my face looking a bit sallow. Lu Rian was sitting by the bed peeling a pear. The peel was coming off in one long, paper-thin strip. My dad actually taught her this skill. She once said, that peeling fruit is the best way to see a person's patience. When I pushed the door open and walked in, that perfect coil of pear skin suddenly snapped. "You're here." Lu Rian looked up at me. Her tone was completely flat. She went back to peeling the rest of the pear. "Mom has been waiting for you all morning." When my mother-in-law saw me, her eyes noticeably lit up. Then quickly filled with a thin layer of tears. "Zefeng, you're finally here. These old bones of mine are truly useless now." As she spoke, she raised her hand to wipe her tears. I placed the fruit basket I brought on the nightstand. "Mom, how are you feeling now?" "It hurts. It hurts terribly if I move even a little bit." She grabbed my hand. Her grip was surprisingly strong. "The doctor said I need to stay in bed for over a month. I'll need someone to wait on me for everything, eating, drinking, and going to the bathroom. Rian is too busy with work. I really can't bear to be a burden to her." Lu Rian cut the peeled pear into even little pieces, stuck a toothpick in one, and handed it to her mother. "Mom, Zefeng is here now, so you can just relax. He is extremely careful when taking care of people. Last year, when his dad was in the hospital, he handled absolutely everything all by himself." She said this so naturally, as casually as if she were talking about today's weather. I looked at her. She looked back at me, her eyes completely calm and emotionless, even carrying a hint of an entitled smile. My mother-in-law slowly chewed the pear, and mumbled unclearly, "That's right. Zefeng is indeed very capable. Rian said you asked for time off to come here today. Your company didn't give you a hard time, did they?" "I took half a day off." I replied, "That's good then." She gently patted the back of my hand. "It's going to be hard on you for a while. You don't need to be here all day. Just stay with me during the day. And Rian can pick you up after she gets off work at night. As for the meals, I really can't stomach the hospital cafeteria food. You should cook at home and bring it over. Something light is best. The doctor said bone broth is good for recovery." Lu Rian carefully put the fruit knife away and wiped her hands with a tissue. "Zefeng, I'm leaving Mom in your hands. I have an important business dinner tonight. It'll probably finish around 10 o'clock. I'll come pick you up then." After saying that, she stood up and grabbed her blazer draped over the back of the chair. Her movements were as smooth as if they had been rehearsed. "Wait," I spoke up and stopped her. Lu Rian turned her head and my mother-in-law also stopped chewing. "I took unpaid personal leave, not my annual leave," I said. "The agency has a clear policy. Taking more than 3 consecutive days off means my quarterly bonus gets docked. Plus, I have a crucial manuscript that needs a final review next Wednesday. I have to be at work." The hospital room fell completely silent for a few seconds. My mother-in-law spoke up first, her voice trembling with obvious tears. "Zefeng, are you unwilling to take care of Mom?" "It's not that I'm unwilling." I looked at Lu Rian. "It's just that my schedule needs to be sorted out. I can come for 2 hours every day after work, but full-time, round-the-clock care is something I really can't do." Lu Rian's face darkened. She walked back to the bed and lowered her voice. "Li Zefeng, let's take this outside." The window in the water room at the end of the hall was wide open, and the freezing wind kept pouring in. "Do you really have to pick a fight with me today? My mom is lying in there with broken bones. The doctor said there might be long-term effects. She needs meticulous care. Can't you show a little understanding?" "How am I not understanding?" I leaned against the freezing wall. "I told you I'd come every single day, and I can pay for half of the caregiver's fees. Is this about money to you?" Her voice pitched higher. "What my mom needs right now is family. Can a caregiver even compare to her own flesh and blood? Last year, when your dad was in the hospital, you insisted on taking care of him yourself. You said caregivers weren't attentive enough. So why is it that when it's my family's turn, you suddenly have a whole new set of rules? The biting wind made my eyes feel dry and sore. I looked out the window to the street below. A middle-aged man was pushing a wheelchair with an elderly person sitting in it. They were moving slowly toward the parking lot. Around this time last year, I had pushed my dad just like that. Last year, I took 93 days off. I said, the publishing house almost fired me over it. The only reason they didn't was because the editor-in-chief took pity on a veteran employee and transferred me. I got bumped from managing editor down to the proofreading desk. My salary dropped by 3 pay grades. I never told you any of that, did I? Lu Rian stopped mid-drag on her cigarette. I can take care of your mom while she's in the hospital. But the catch is, it cannot affect my job. I've already lost my position once. I can't afford to lose my livelihood too. I turned to look at her. If you think that's not enough, we can hire a second caregiver. Li Zefeng, are you seriously negotiating terms with me right now? I'm offering a realistic solution, I replied. She laughed. It was a freezing, bitter laugh. Fine, then let me lay all my cards on the table for you. The shortlist for my promotion to director is finalized. There are 3 candidates. I'm currently sitting in second place. This is a critical make or break moment. Upper management is closely evaluating family stability. If a woman can't even manage her own household, how can she manage a major project? Those were the partner's exact words. So, when it comes to my mom, you have to step up and carry this. She took a step closer. I could smell her faint perfume. It was the bottle I gave her last year. Just look at it as a debt I owe you. Once my promotion is officially announced, I'll pay you back double for your lost wages. If you want your old position back, I'll pull some strings and make it happen. But right now, I need you to play your part perfectly. The wind whipped the hair across her forehead. She once told me how much she loved that color. 2 hours a day, I repeated myself. This is my bottom line. Lu Rian stared at me for a long time and finally nodded. Okay, but if mom asks, you have to say you took a long leave of absence. There are other family members in the ward. Don't let it slip. I'll try my best to come pick you up early tonight. Mom wants to eat the pork bone porridge you make. Remember to cook it. And with that, she left. I stood there in silence for a moment. My mother-in-law was holding her phone, sending a voice message. Yes, Zefeng is here taking care of me. He took a long leave from work. He is such a devoted son-in-law. I always said I picked the right man for her. She saw me walk in and smiled, waving me over. Zefeng, come help mom look at this phone. Why did the screen go black again? I walked over, and she shoved the phone into my hands. The recipient was the Happy Family group chat. The group was full of Lu Rian's relatives. The message said, Rian's husband is being so wonderful this time. He took time off specifically to take care of me. I told you all, last year when his own dad was in the hospital, that was just a special circumstance. I handed the phone back to her. It might be a software crash. You should try to install fewer of those little apps. But I guess when we get older, we just like playing with new gadgets. I wrung out a hot towel and wiped her face. Her face was very thin, with deep wrinkles. The corner of her mouth drooped a little, looking a lot like my dad. Except, my dad's face always carried a permanent, sickly pallor. You know, between husband and wife, you just have to be understanding of each other. Last year, when your dad was so terribly sick, Rian didn't really help out much. But she was always worried about him in her heart. Back then, wasn't she always saying she'd transfer money to you? Even though you didn't ask for it, she told me about it. If you had just asked, she would have transferred however much you needed. The towel gradually grew cold. I went to the bathroom to get fresh hot water. I turned on the faucet, watching the water come rushing down. Lu Rian had indeed said that. If you don't have enough money, just tell me. The first time was the night before my dad's surgery. I told her I was still 80,000 short for the deposit. She said, I'll transfer it tomorrow. The next day when I brought it up, she said, I forgot, I'll transfer it right now. And then she dragged it out until the third day. The second time was when he got a post-op infection and was sent to the intensive care unit. The bills were 10,000 a day. I told her I couldn't hold on much longer. She said, I'm in the middle of a roadshow. We'll talk about it later. In the end, the attending doctor covered that bill out of his own pocket. It took me 4 months to pay him back. After the third time, I never asked her for a single dime ever again. I walked back out, carrying the basin of hot water. My mother-in-law was on the phone. Yes, my son-in-law is taking such wonderful care of me. And Rian. Rian is so busy with work, but she still comes to visit every single day after she gets off. Oh, come on, it's the least they could do. We're family. There's no need for thank yous. She was smiling so widely that her eyes crinkled into little slits. After hanging up, she told me, "That was your uncle. He said he's coming to see me this weekend. Zefang, make sure you cook a few extra dishes then. Your uncle is extremely picky with his food." I ignored her. At 4:30 in the afternoon, the caregiver arrived. She was a woman in her 40s, named Ms. Lee. Ms. Lee nodded in acknowledgement and briskly started tidying up the nightstand. My mother-in-law grabbed Ms. Lee's hand and said, "This is my son-in-law. He took time off work specifically to take care of me. As for you, you just need to help out a bit. He'll be doing most of the work. I'm so used to his cooking." Ms. Lee looked at me with a smile. "Ma'am, you are so lucky." I glanced at the time. "Mom, I have to leave at 6. There's a meeting at the agency tonight. I'll come over right after work tomorrow and bring you some porridge." My mother-in-law's face instantly dropped. "A meeting at night? Couldn't you just ask for some time off?" "Mom is scared being all alone here. It's an important editorial meeting. I have to attend." I swung my backpack over my shoulder. "Ms. Lee will stay the night with you. I've already paid for a full week. If you need anything, just press the bell. The nurses are available around the clock." Zefang, her voice trembled as if she were about to cry. "Are you getting sick of Mom?" "Mom knows. I'm old now, completely useless." I just ignored her again. As I walked out of the hospital, the sky had already grown completely dark. I stood at the bus stop, waiting. My phone buzzed. It was a text from Lu Rian. "Mom said you're leaving." I didn't reply. The bus pulled up, and I squeezed my way on. I gripped the handrail, swaying gently with the motion of the bus. As the neon lights blurred past the window one by one, I thought back to exactly a year ago today. I was taking the exact same night bus to the hospital, cradling a freshly brewed thermos of soup against my chest. Terrified it would get cold, I had carefully wrapped it in 2 thick towels. That day, my dad had gone through his 3rd round of interventional therapy. He'd been throwing up all day. In the end, he weakly grabbed my hand and said, "Zefang, Dad doesn't want to do this anymore." I didn't cry. Instead, I told him, "We have to keep fighting." Now, I was on the exact same bus route. Only this time, I was heading in the opposite direction, going back to that house, to make porridge for someone else's mother. That night, I still ended up making the porridge. Pork rib and yam porridge. I let it simmer softly for 2 whole hours. The broth turned out beautifully clear and inviting. By the time I packed it into the thermos, it was already 10:30. Lu Rian wasn't home, and she hadn't called, either. 11 o'clock. I finished my shower and was just getting ready for bed when the doorbell rang. Lu Rian walked in, reeking of alcohol. She gave me a sideways glance. "Mom cried today, didn't she? She's just like that, soft-hearted and afraid of being alone. Just humor her a bit more. Elderly people need more company." I originally didn't even want to respond to her, but hearing those words, I still turned around. "Lu Rian, those few days my dad was in intensive care last year, do you still remember what you said to me?" She froze for a moment, her eyes losing focus. "That was so long ago, who still remembers? But I remember. You said, life and death are up to fate. Don't push yourself too hard." The living room lights were bright, showing the utter exhaustion on her face. She opened her mouth and finally said, "Back then, I was just worried you were under too much pressure." "And now?" I asked, "And now, you aren't worried about me being under too much pressure?" "The situation is different now." She stood up, staggering toward the bedroom. "Me getting promoted to director is good for you and for this family. Just think of it as doing me a favor with my mom. Put on an act for a few months. Once the appointment comes through, we can talk about anything." The next day when I went to the hospital, my mother-in-law was grumbling, as expected. She only smiled when she saw the food thermos. I helped her eat her porridge. When I went to the washroom, I heard 2 nurses whispering to each other. "That old lady in bed 19, she sure is high maintenance. She pressed the call bell 7 or 8 times last night. Didn't her son-in-law take time off to look after her? Why did they hire a caregiver too? Who knows, but her daughter came by yesterday, dressed really sharply. Drove a nice car, too. I heard she's a manager at some investment firm, right?" The water was full, making the pitcher's handle a bit too hot to touch. I didn't rush to leave, waiting until the 2 nurses finished chatting and left, before slowly walking back with the pitcher. The hallway was long. Some of the hospital room doors on both sides were left open. You could see families inside feeding patients, peeling fruits, and talking softly. Bed 19 was in the middle of the corridor. My mother-in-law was holding her phone, watching short videos with the volume turned way up. The laughter echoed clearly out into the hall. When Auntie Lee saw me come back, she whispered, "Mr. Lee, your wife called just now. She said she has to entertain clients tonight, and won't be coming over." My mother-in-law just grunted, her eyes never leaving her phone screen. Women busy with their careers. Totally understandable. As long as Zefang is here, it's fine. I put down the water pitcher. "Mom, I have a training session at work tomorrow afternoon. I probably won't be able to get here until 6. Another training? She finally looked up. Why does your office have so many things going on? Can't you just take the day off? It's so pitiful for mom to be here all alone. Zefang, do you just not want to take care of mom? My hand paused for a second. Mom knows, taking care of sick people is exhausting. She put down her phone and grabbed my hand. But I only have one daughter, Rian, and you don't have any siblings either. A mother-in-law and son-in-law need to rely on each other. If you treat me well now, when I'm gone someday, everything will be left to you too. That old apartment of mine, sure, it's a bit dated. But the location is prime. It's worth quite a bit of money. Her hand was warm, gripping mine tightly. I looked down at those deep wrinkles and remembered the last time my dad held my hand. His grip was so weak, like a fragile leaf that could blow away at any moment. I stayed at the hospital until 8 o'clock that night. As I was walking out, I got a WeChat message from Lu Rian. My mom said you have training. Can't you just reschedule? I replied, no. She didn't reply after that. Friday afternoon, my company training finished early. I checked the time, 4:20. If I head to the hospital now, I can still make it in time to have dinner with my mother-in-law. Just as I reached the subway entrance, my phone rang. It was an unfamiliar landline. Hello, is this Mr. Li Zefang? This is the Dongqing District Police Station. Was your father named Li Guodong? My head spun for a second. Yes. What's wrong? Don't worry, please don't be nervous. It's actually good news. We're handling a fraud case here, and managed to recover some of the stolen funds. Among them is the 60,000 yuan Mr. Li Guodong was scammed out of last year. I leaned heavily against the subway wall, my legs suddenly feeling weak. Last September, just a week before my dad's surgery, he suddenly told me that an investment of his had matured and he'd be getting 60,000 back. I was so busy scraping together the surgery fees at the time, I didn't ask for details. But the money never showed up. Dad just hammed and hawed, telling me to wait a little longer. That wait lasted until he was put in the ICU, until he was discharged. Until now. When exactly did he report the case? My voice was trembling. October 5th of last year. When he came into the station to file the report, he was in really bad shape. He told us it was his life-saving medical money, and begged us to please find a way to get it back. We put it on record, but these types of cases are incredibly tough to crack. It wasn't until we busted a criminal ring recently that we finally tracked down this money. October 5th. That was only the 5th day after my dad's surgery. He had just been moved from the ICU to a regular ward. He still had tubes sticking out of him. That day, Lu Rian dropped by the hospital once to deliver some paperwork. She stayed in his room for barely 10 minutes, just said, "Dad, get some good rest," and hurried out. I remember that afternoon. Dad just kept staring out the window. I asked him what he was looking at. He said, nothing in particular. That night, a nurse quietly pulled me aside and told me that he had been secretly crying. I asked him why, but he refused to say. So, this was the reason. "I'll be right there," I said. At the police station, the young officer who received me slid a document across the desk. Mr. Li was extremely emotional at the time, he kept saying. This money was meant to ease my son's burden. We asked him why he didn't tell his family. He said his son was already exhausted, and he couldn't bear to cause him any more trouble. The handwriting was shaky and crooked, like it took every ounce of his strength just to write it down. The time of the report was clearly written as 3:20 in the afternoon, exactly half an hour after Lu Rian left the hospital. The police transferred the recovered money to my bank account. All the paperwork was sorted out. Pay more attention to the elderly from now on. A lot of scammers specifically target old folks living alone. Thank you, I said. My voice was a little hoarse. By the time I walked out of the police station, it was already pitch black outside. I stood there by the side of the road, staring at the text message about the deposit. 60,200 yuan. The extra 200 was interest. Last October, to scrape together enough money for Dad's third round of procedures, I had to sell my gold wedding ring. The guy at the jewelry store weighed it and said the purity wasn't high enough. He only wanted to give me 10,000 yuan. I haggled with him forever, until he reluctantly threw in another 300. When I walked out of that shop, I just sat on the curb and smoked a cigarette. Then, I wiped my face and headed to the hospital, to tell my dad that I'd finally gotten the money together. Dad reached out, gently touched my face, and said, "Zefang, you've lost so much weight." He never once asked where that money came from, just like how I never asked him why he always insisted he had enough money. My phone buzzed again. It was a text from Lu Rian. "Mom says you're still not here. Didn't your training end ages ago?" I stared at the screen, my fingers hovering over the keyboard for a few seconds. Finally, I typed back. Something came up. "I'll be a little late." Then came her reply. What could possibly be more important than Mom? I didn't text back. I just flagged down a cab. and told the driver, City Second Hospital, please. On the way there, I sent a text message to my dad's old phone number. Dad, the police got your money back. Of course, there was no reply. That number had been disconnected for over 6 months now, but I still needed to tell him. I wanted to tell the man who, even while lying in his hospital bed, was doing everything he could just to ease his son's burden. Now I knew about his secret. I knew about his tears, and I knew about his trembling hands when he signed that police report. By the time I arrived at the hospital, the door to room 19 was slightly open. I could hear bursts of light laughter coming from inside. I pushed the door open and saw the uncle sitting by the bed. My mother-in-law was chatting away excitedly, and Lu Rian was there too, pouring her uncle a glass of water. Oh, Zefeng is here. The uncle stood up with a smile. We were just talking about you. Shufen has been bragging about what a good son you are, making porridge and bringing her meals every single day. You're better than a biological son. Lu Rian walked over and took the things from my hands. Why are you so late? I got held up by something. I handed the box of green bean cakes to the uncle. Your favorite. Oh, wow. Thanks, Zefeng. He pulled me down to sit beside him. Your timing is perfect. Rian just said that her promotion to director is pretty much a done deal. They will announce it officially next month. We definitely need to celebrate when the time comes. My mother-in-law couldn't stop grinning. Her uncle struck while the iron was hot, and kept going. If you ask me, Zefeng, you two really should start thinking about having a baby. While you're still young, your mom can still help out with the baby. Right, Shufen? My mother-in-law nodded enthusiastically. Yes, exactly. I have been dying to hold a grandchild. Once my back is fully healed, you two need to get right on it. But I simply set the fruit platter on her nightstand. Mom, Uncle, you guys go ahead and chat. There is an urgent matter at the agency I still need to handle. I need to head back for a bit. My mother-in-law's smile stiffened. Look at the time, you're still going back to the office? It's an emergency. I grabbed my backpack. I will come by first thing in the morning. Lu Rian stood up. I will walk you out. No need. Stay here with Mom and your uncle. Oh, by the way, Lu Rian, I said, about October 5th of last year, when my dad reported being scammed out of 60,000. Did you know about that? The air in the hospital room seemed to freeze instantly. The smile slowly vanished from Lu Rian's face. My mother-in-law's hand stopped midair as she was handing over an apple. Her uncle looked at me, then back at Lu Rian. He looked completely baffled. What police report? Lu Rian's voice was unnervingly calm. It's nothing. I pulled the door open. It just suddenly crossed my mind. See you tomorrow. The door clicked shut gently behind me. The fluorescent lights in the hallway were blindingly white. I leaned against the wall and stood there for a moment. I could hear my mother-in-law's hushed voice from inside. What did he just say? What police report? And then, Lu Rian's reply. I don't know. You probably misheard him. Frantic footsteps chased after me. Lu Rian grabbed my wrist and dragged me into the stairwell. What the hell did you mean by that? She glared at me, something turbulent and fierce churning in her eyes. Your dad got scammed? When did this happen? Why didn't you ever tell me? October 5th, last year. I stared right back into her eyes. He filed the police report at 3:20 in the afternoon. You came to the hospital that day, for exactly 10 minutes, to drop off some documents. Do you remember? Her pupils shrank suddenly. Clearly, she remembered. I yanked my hand back. That day, my dad still had tubes sticking out of him. He endured agonizing pain to drag himself to the police station. 60,000, his entire life savings, all because he said he wanted to lessen my burden. Lu Rian swallowed hard. I had no idea. Of course you didn't. I scoffed. You were too busy getting promoted to investment manager. Too busy schmoozing with investors. Too busy building your bright, shiny future. Whether my dad lives or dies, and all the stress I'm under. None of it is your business. Li Zefeng. She grabbed my shoulders. Can you just be reasonable for a second? If I had known about this, do you really think I wouldn't have stepped in? Would you have? I asked. Just like those 93 days last year, did you even care at all? She let go of me. The voice-activated lights in the stairwell went out. Darkness swallowed us up, leaving only the eerie green glow of the emergency exit sign lighting up half of her face. That money was recovered, I said. This afternoon, the police station called to tell me. Her head snapped up. 60,200. I pulled that bank card out of my bag. The very money my dad guarded with his life, waiting for me to bring it back. The lights flickered back on. Her face looked pale under the sudden glare. She opened her mouth, but no sound came out. Lu Rian, I said, your mom is a human being. But my dad is human too. Your mom feels pain, and my dad feels pain too. Your mom needs to be taken care of, and my dad needs it too. I will still come tomorrow. I cut her off. Because I promised I would. But this is the very last time. Once your mom gets discharged from the hospital, we need to have a serious talk. Talk about what? She pressed anxiously. I didn't answer. I just turned around and walked down the stairs. My footsteps echoed in the empty stairwell, one after another, sounding like some kind of ticking countdown. She yelled from behind me. Lee Zefeng, tell me exactly what you mean by that. I didn't look back. By the time I walked out of the hospital, the night wind was biting cold. I zipped my jacket all the way up to my chin. I pulled out my phone and scrolled through my contacts, finding a number I hadn't dialed in a long time. My old college buddy, Zhang Ming. He opened his own law firm after graduation. I sent him a quick text. Hey Zhang, I need some legal advice. Give me a call whenever you're free. Message sent successfully. The bus arrived. I paid my fare and got on. I grabbed a window seat and sat down. Outside, the neon lights flashed by in a blur. My phone buzzed. It was an instant reply from Zhang Ming. What's going on? You can call me right now. I gripped my phone tightly, staring at my own reflection in the dark glass of the window. The eyes staring back at me were incredibly bright, like something was quietly burning deep inside them. The bus slowly pulled away, driving deeper into the night. The streetlights faded into the distance behind me, like a road with absolutely no end. But I knew there are just some roads that once you start walking down, you can never, ever turn back. Pushing open that frosted glass door, the heating blasted warmly against me. The air was filled with that distinct blend of coffee and paper. He was wearing a light gray sweater, thin-rimmed glasses resting on his face. Seeing me walk in, he stood up immediately. Lee, it really has been a while. We hadn't seen each other in 15 years. Back in college, our beds were right across from each other. He always used to say I was too nice, that I'd easily get taken advantage of. The year we graduated, he left me with one piece of advice: when you can't take it anymore, you don't have to take it. Later on, he got accepted into law school, and I married Lu Rian. We slowly lost touch after that. What would you like to drink? He asked, motioning for me to sit down. You're looking a bit pale. Tea is fine, I replied, setting my backpack by my feet. Zhang, I want to get some legal advice about getting a divorce. Zhang Ming's hand paused slightly as he poured the tea. He quickly recovered, gently sliding the teacup across the desk to me. Sitting back in his office chair, he opened his laptop. What's the situation? He asked. I started from the beginning, back when my father fell ill last year. The 93 days in the hospital. The 60,000 yuan that got scammed. My mother-in-law fracturing her bone, and Lu Rian demanding that I stay and take care of her. I told him everything so calmly, it felt like I was telling someone else's story. Zhang Ming's pen scribbled rapidly across his notepad, occasionally glancing up at me. I could see sympathy in his eyes, but mostly, it was pure professional focus. So, what are you looking to get out of this? He asked after I finished. A divorce, and splitting the assets, I said. We have 2 apartments. One we've been paying the mortgage on together since we got married, and the other we rent out. As for our savings, there probably isn't much. I'm not exactly sure how much Lu Rian makes. She never let me touch her salary card. Zhang Ming typed rapidly on his keyboard for a second. Do you have any proof of her income? Bank statements? Whose name is on the deeds? Both of our names are on the deeds. As for proof of income, I actually have a photo of her pay stub right here. I took it by accident last year. I opened my phone's gallery and pulled up the picture. It was Lu Rian's monthly pay breakdown. Base salary, 32,000. Performance bonus, 68,000. Project dividends, 150,000. The date is from last August. Zhang Ming took one look at it. This is her income after she got promoted to investment manager. What about before that? Before that, it was probably only about half. She's always been a heavy spender, I explained. But I honestly have no idea how much is in the bank. She always said she was investing it and transferring the money out. Do you have any proof of these investments? He pressed. I just shook my head. Zhang Ming set his pen down and leaned forward slightly. Lee, listen to me. Based on what you're telling me, there's a very high chance that Lu Rian has been hiding her assets. With an income this high and being married for 8 years. Even if she spends like crazy, she should still have at least a few million saved up by now. You saying there isn't much in the bank? That just doesn't add up. Sunlight slanted through the window. Dust motes dancing silently in the beams of light. I watched those tiny floating particles, and thought about the hospital last year. The sunlight poured into the room just like this. My father stared at the dust in the light and whispered, Zefeng, look, it's so much like life. What do I need to do? I asked. First, gather evidence. Zhang Ming started making a list. Her bank account information, investment return receipts, property valuations, and vehicle information. Second, figure out exactly how much money she's transferred away, and where it went. Third, if you can prove she committed serious faults during the marriage, like domestic violence, infidelity, or abandoning family members, the property division will go in our favor. He paused for a moment. My father was in the hospital for 93 days and she completely ignored him. Does that count as abandoning a family member? Legally, it might, but we need rock-solid evidence. I have chat logs, payment receipts, and all sorts of certificates from the hospital, I said. Perfect. Zhang Ming's eyes grew sharp. Also, you just mentioned she's demanding you take care of her mother. Yet she has double standards for both sides' parents. While this isn't strictly a legal fault, it can sway the judge's opinion in court. I gripped my teacup tightly. Do I need to hire a private investigator to look into it? Not yet. Zhang Ming thought about it. You are her legal husband. You have the right to check marital joint assets. You can start by looking around the house to see if there are any bank cards, contracts, documents, or things like that. If she's hidden them too well, we'll figure something else out. He pulled a business card out of his drawer. This is an investigator I work with. If you need him, you can give him a call. As for his fees, I can get you a good discount. Thank you, Lao Zhang. Don't mention it. He stood up to walk me out. I told you back in college. You need to grow a backbone when it matters. You've endured this for 8 years. That's more than enough. Stepping out of the office building, the cold wind blew and I let out a shiver. I had 3 missed calls on my phone. All of them were from Lu Rian. I dialed her back. Where the hell are you? Her tone was aggressive. Mom said you didn't go to the hospital yesterday. Didn't you say you'd be there by 6? I had to work overtime at the agency. I said, how is your mom doing? How do you think she's doing? Just lying there. She lowered her voice. Li Zefeng, what the hell is your problem? You said all that crap yesterday and just ran off. And now you're playing disappearing acts today. Let me tell you, if anything happens to Mom, I swear I'll make you pay. I'll head over right now. No need, she yelled out, then took a deep, heavy breath. You, just make some porridge and bring it over tonight. Mom wants some. Okay. I hung up the phone and stood alone by the street. Watching the endless stream of cars passing by, Zhang Ming's words kept echoing in my head. Asset transfer. Gather evidence. I hailed a cab. Driver, take me to Jinyuan Apartments. That was our marital home. We had lived there ever since we got married. Lu Rian always said the name of this complex was lucky. That it brings wealth. The house was spotless. The cleaning lady comes to clean twice a week. I stood right in the middle of the living room, looking around the place I had called home for 8 years. The sofa was picked out by Lu Rian, a German brand. It cost over 60,000. The TV wall was built into a full floor-to-ceiling display cabinet. It held all her trophies and red wine. The curtains were custom made by someone my dad hired. They were dark blue, with tiny bamboo leaves embroidered on the edges. Where should I even start looking? I suddenly remembered Lu Rian had a habit. She kept all her important documents in the safe in the study. I actually used to know the passcode. She had set it to our wedding anniversary, saying that way she'd never forget. But she changed it once last year, claiming her company required stricter security. Let's just give it a try. I walked right into the study. Solid wood desk, ergonomic chair, rows of finance and investment books lined the shelves. The safe was built straight into the side of the bookcase. Black metal casing, electronic keypad lock. I tried our wedding anniversary first. 0928. The error beep sounded. Her birthday. 0516. Error. My mother-in-law's birthday. 1123. Error. I sat down, staring intensely at the keypad. 6 digits. Lu Rian had a great memory, but she hated setting overly complicated passwords. It just had to be a date. Wait, when exactly did she change the passcode last year? I think it was right around my father's surgery. She spent all her time locked inside the study back then, claiming she had urgent documents to process. A sudden thought flashed through my mind. I typed in the exact date of my father's surgery last year. 1012. Click. The safe popped open. In that very moment, my stomach completely churned. She used the exact day of my dad's surgery as her passcode. But why? Was it just to remember the date? Or was it to remind herself of something sick? The safe was divided into 3 shelves. The top shelf held a few document folders. The middle shelf had some velvet boxes. The bottom shelf was filled with cash and bank cards. I checked the documents first. The first envelope, a prenuptial agreement. I opened it up. Only the value added after marriage counts as joint property. The signature date was exactly 1 week before we got married. I remember that day. Lu Rian told me, it's just a formality. What's mine is yours anyway. I was so busy trying on my suit. I just signed it without even looking. The second envelope, an investment agreement. Rian invested under her own name in a company called Chi Chen Capital, contributing $2,800,000 for a 25% stake. The date was February of last year, $2,800,000. Where the hell did we get that kind of money? The third envelope, a proxy equity agreement. Rian was holding shares for a guy named Zhao Feng, giving him an 8% stake in a tech company. The term is for 10 years. Dated July of the year before last. Zhao Feng. That name sounds familiar. Wait, I remember now. Rian mentioned him before. It's her cousin. The one living abroad. I quickly snapped pictures of all the documents. My hands were shaking a little, but I managed to keep them steady. In the velvet boxes on the middle shelf, one of them held my wedding ring. I stopped wearing it after my dad was hospitalized last year, just left it sitting on the nightstand. I have no idea when she tucked it away in here. The other box held a watch. One I had never seen before. The receipt was tucked at the bottom of the box. The price was $58,000, and the purchase date was last Valentine's Day. Last Valentine's Day, Rian told me she was working late. She didn't get home until 1 in the morning, and she gave me a tie, saying she just bought it in a rush. I picked up the watch. The dial reflected a cold, sharp gleam under the light. On the bottom shelf, there was about $80,000 in cash, all neatly bundled up. 5 or 6 bank cards, all from different banks. I took pictures of the card numbers, one by one. There was also a flash drive, a silver one, with absolutely no labels on it. I plugged it into my computer, but it needed a password. I tried a few times, but nothing worked. I pulled the flash drive out. I put everything back exactly how I found it, and locked the safe. As I walked out of the study, my legs felt weak. I leaned against the wall, taking a deep breath. Those numbers kept flashing right in front of my eyes. A $2,800,000 investment. A $58,000 watch. Proxy shares. A prenuptial agreement. Rian's world. I never truly knew anything about it. My phone started ringing again. It was my mother-in-law. Zefeng. Is the porridge ready yet? Her voice sounded so weak. Mom hasn't seen you all day. I missed you. It's almost done cooking. Mom, I said, I'll bring it right over to you in a bit. Ah, okay. Take your time. Be careful on the way. Right before hanging up, I heard the caregiver whisper, Ma'am, your son-in-law is so devoted. My mother-in-law laughed, yeah, even more caring than my own son. I walked into the kitchen, took the ribs out of the fridge. While I was prepping the ribs, the knife slipped and cut my finger. A bead of blood immediately welled up. I watched that drop of red slowly dissolve in the sink, suddenly remembering last year when I was making soup for my dad. And cut my hand just like this. When my dad saw it, he asked, Zefeng, does it hurt? I said it didn't. He told me, if it hurts, you need to say so. If you don't say anything, no one will ever know. The porridge bubbled away in the pot. I bandaged up the cut and leaned against the kitchen counter, watching the steam slowly rise. Those documents. The flash drive, they were like scattered puzzle pieces, laid out right there, but I still couldn't see the whole picture. Why did Lu Rian hide these investments from me? Where did the money come from? Who exactly is Zhao Feng? And what's hidden on that flash drive? And also, the porridge was finally done. As I packed it into the thermos, I got a text from the bank. My paycheck had hit my account. $6,200. That's my monthly salary. After taking out Social Security and housing funds, what's left is barely enough for groceries and bills. Just one of Lu Rian's watches costs way more than that. I grabbed the thermos and headed out. It was already completely dark outside. The streetlights flickered on, one by one. When I reached the neighborhood gate, I saw my neighbor, Uncle Lu, coming back from walking his dog. Hey Lee, heading out to see your mother-in-law? He asked with a friendly squint. I heard the old lady took a fall. Is it serious? It's a fracture. She's gotta stay in bed for a while. Oh man, that's gonna be a lot of work for you then. He leaned in a bit closer, lowering his voice. Oh, by the way, last month, I saw your wife, Lu Rian, right by the gate, talking to a young guy. They looked pretty close. Is he a relative of yours? My heart skipped a beat. What kind of guy? In his 30s maybe, buzz cut. Drove a black SUV. Uncle Lu tried to recall. They talked for a really long time. Then they actually got in the car together and drove off. At the time I figured, maybe it's just one of her coworkers. Yeah, probably, I said. Thanks, Uncle Lu. A black SUV. Most of the guys at Lu Rian's company drove sedans. Whoever was driving an SUV. I don't think there was. I walked to the bus stop. While waiting for the bus, I opened my phone's gallery and flipped through the photos of the documents I'd just taken. There was a contact number on the investment agreement. I noted it down. The first few digits of Zhao Feng's ID number on the proxy shareholding agreement showed he was a local. Cousin? Lu Rian never mentioned having a cousin living around here. The bus arrived. I sat all the way in the back row. I put on my earbuds and dialed Zhang Ming's number. Hey, Zhang, I found something. I lowered my voice. A prenuptial agreement, an investment contract, and a proxy shareholding agreement, and a watch I've never seen before. I could hear the clack of a keyboard from Zhang Ming's end. Send them over to me. How much was the investment? $2,800,000. Last February, $2,800,000. Zhang Ming muttered thoughtfully. That's a massive expense. It legally requires your consent. Otherwise, we can claim she disposed of marital assets without authorization and demand it all back. But I had absolutely no idea this money even existed. That works even better for us. Zhang Ming replied, what about the USB drive? Can you open it? It needs a password. Keep it safe for now. What's the date on the watch receipt? Valentine's Day, last year. Got it. Zhang Ming's tone instantly turned serious. Listen to me, Li. Listen closely. From this moment on, do not spook them. Keep taking care of your mother-in-law just like you normally do. Act completely normal around Lu Rian, and keep digging for more evidence in secret. Also, I interjected. Try to get a license plate number or a clear photo, Zhang Ming said. Solid proof of infidelity is our strongest weapon. The bus finally pulled up to the hospital. I stepped off with the thermos of porridge. The freezing wind whipped against my face, stinging my skin. As I walked into the ward, my mother-in-law was watching TV. When she saw me, her face instantly lit up with a smile. Zifeng, you're here. Hurry up. Mom's been waiting so long for you. The porridge must be getting cold by now. I just finished making it. It's still piping hot. I opened the thermos and poured her a bowl. My mother-in-law suddenly grabbed my hand. Oh, what happened to your hand? I accidentally cut it while chopping vegetables. Oh my goodness. Does it hurt? Let Mom blow on it for you. She actually lowered her head and gently blew on my cut. For a brief moment, tears welled up in my eyes. If only she hadn't said those awful things. If only she hadn't been so terribly stingy with money when my own father was dying. If only she were just a normal, loving mother-in-law. I'm fine, Mom. It's just a scratch. I handed the bowl to her. Careful, it's hot. She slowly took a sip of the porridge, then suddenly looked up. Zifeng, I stayed up all night thinking about it yesterday. Last year, when your father was sick, Rian was in the wrong. I want to apologize to you on her behalf. My hand trembled slightly. You know how it is. Women can be fiercely career-driven, too. And sometimes they end up neglecting the family. She set down her bowl, looking at me. I've been around long enough to understand, marriage is all about making allowances for each other. Just look at us. Now that I'm sick, haven't you come here to take care of me? That's what it means to put yourself in someone else's shoes. On the TV, a family soap opera was playing, where the main character was sobbing over his wife's affair. Mom, I asked softly, is Rian dealing with something lately? I've noticed she's been staying up all night. My mother-in-law's eyes darted away for a second. What could she possibly be dealing with? It's just the stress from work. The competition at her company is cutthroat. How could she survive without working herself to the bone? But I heard that her company is doing layoffs right now. Even if they are, she won't be the one getting cut. My mother-in-law's voice spiked defensively. Rian is a manager. She's about to be promoted to director. Stop letting your imagination run wild. She picked up her bowl again, but her hands were trembling slightly. I stayed in the hospital room until 8 o'clock. I gave her a sponge bath, massaged her lower back, and read the newspaper to her. Auntie Lee, the caregiver, whispered to me, your mother-in-law got a phone call this afternoon. And she threw a massive fit. She even smashed her water glass. Do you know who called? I asked. I couldn't hear it very clearly, but she seemed to mention something about money and a deadline, or something like that. Auntie Lee shook her head. After she hung up, the old lady just kept muttering, so disappointing. At 9 o'clock, Rian finally showed up. She looked completely exhausted. The collar of her blouse was unbuttoned, and there were heavy, dark bags under her eyes. How's Mom doing today? She asked. A lot better, I replied. The doctor said she can try sitting up tomorrow. She nodded and sat down at the edge of the bed. Taking her mother's hand, the two of them started talking in hushed tones. I packed up my things, getting ready to leave. Zefeng, Rian called out, stopping me. Tomorrow, could you take a day off work? I have to go on a business trip to Shanghai. And I won't be back tonight. The agency is swamped right now. I can't take any time off, I said flatly. It's just for one day. Her tone immediately grew sharp and impatient. Mom needs to get scans done tomorrow, and someone has to wheel her down there. I don't trust the caregiver to do it all alone. My mother-in-law looked at me, too. Zefeng, just for one day. Please, I'm begging you. I watched them, and suddenly asked, Lu Rian, what exactly is that project you invested 2,800,000 into? The air instantly froze. My mother-in-law's hands gripped the bedsheets tightly. What are you talking about? What 2,800,000? Kitchen capital, 25% equity. I said calmly, the investment agreement from last February. I saw it in the safe. You went through my safe? Her voice shot up. Li Zefeng, who gave you the right? I am your husband. That is our joint marital property. I stared right into her eyes. 2,800,000 is not a small amount. Why didn't you discuss this with me? She opened her mouth, then turned to look at her mother. My mother-in-law's face was deathly pale, her lips trembling. That's my mom's money. Lu Ruyan finally spat out. It's my mom's life savings. She asked me to invest it for her. Your mom's money? I turned to my mother-in-law. Mom, where did you get 2,800,000 from? Her eyes darted around in panic. I sold my old house. Demolition payout. Your old house was in the east side of the city. The demolition payout for that area would be 1,500,000 at most. I stated, and that demolition happened 4 years ago. Back then, you said you put all that money into a fixed-term deposit. I remembered it wrong. My mother-in-law stammered incoherently. It's money from my side of the family. Mom, Lu Ruyan cut her off. When she turned to me, her eyes were fierce. Li Zefeng, what the hell are you trying to pull? Auditing my accounts? Suspecting me? I work my ass off to earn money to provide for this family. And you pull these sneaky little tricks behind my back? Provide for the family? I let out a dry laugh. Lu Ruyan, you've never let me touch your paycheck. I'm the one covering almost all the household expenses. Is your idea of providing for the family buying a 58,000 watch for someone else? She looked as if she had been struck by lightning, stumbling a step back. Last Valentine's Day, you told me you had to work overtime. I pulled out a photo of the watch receipt from my bag. I shoved the screen in her face. This watch, who did you give it to? A deathly silence fell over the hospital room. The old lady in the next bed had already pulled her curtains shut. Lu Ruyan's face went from pale to flushed red, and then to a furious ashen gray. She suddenly raised her hand. Don't you dare, my mother-in-law shrieked. Her hand froze in midair, trembling uncontrollably. Finally, she slammed it down hard, smashing it against the bedside table. The thermos was knocked over, spilling the leftover porridge all over the floor. She lowered her head, her voice hoarse. Li Zefeng, get the hell out. I didn't move. Answer my question. Where did the 2,800,000 come from? And who did you give the watch to? Who exactly is Zhao Feng? Get out. Her furious roar echoed through the entire ward, and the hurried footsteps of a nurse echoed down the hallway. My mother-in-law began to cry. Please, stop arguing. It's all my fault. I didn't raise my daughter right. The nurse pushed the door open and hurried in. What's going on? The patient needs to rest. Lu Ruyan pointed at the door. Her eyes bloodshot. Are you leaving or not? If you don't leave, I'm calling the police. I looked at her, and suddenly, she felt like a total stranger. This woman who had shared my bed for 8 years. Right now, she looked like a cornered beast, baring her teeth. Her hackles raised, but deep in her eyes was a terror she couldn't hide. What was she so afraid of? Fine, I'll go. I grabbed my backpack. But Lu Ruyan, this is far from over. As I walked out of the ward, and the elevator slowly descended, I looked in the mirrored walls. My face was frighteningly calm. The cut on my finger throbbed faintly, but the heavy stone that had crushed my chest for 8 years felt like it had finally shifted just a little. Walking out the hospital entrance, a blast of cold wind hit me, making me sneeze. I pulled out my phone, and saw over a dozen missed calls, all of them from Lu Ruyan. There was also a text message. Come back, we really need to talk. I didn't reply. I hailed a taxi and told the driver, take me to the financial district. That was where Lu Ruyan's company was located. The office building of Chichen Capital was brightly lit. I paid the fare and got out. Standing across the street, I looked up at the towering glass facade. Lu Ruyan's office was on the 18th floor. She had told me that you could see the river from up there. My phone vibrated. It was Lu Ruyan calling again. I hung up and shot back a text. I'm busy. Let's talk later. Then, I opened my contacts and found a name I hadn't reached out to in a long time. Li Yu, Lu Ruyan's former assistant. When she quit 2 years ago, we grabbed a bite to eat and added each other on WeChat. I sent her a message. Hey Xiao Li, are you asleep? A few minutes later, she replied. Not yet, brother Li. What's up? Is it a good time to call? I've got something I need to ask you. The phone rang almost immediately. Brother Li, long time no see. Li Yu's voice sounded light and cheerful. I heard Boss Lu is getting promoted to director. Congratulations. Thanks. I paused for a moment. I wanted to ask you about right before you left the company. Did you see a guy with a buzz cut who looked to be in his 30s? There was a few seconds of silence on the other end of the phone. Why are you asking about this? Li Yu's tone shifted. I just heard about some things recently. I weighed my words carefully. Things involving Lu Ruyan. If you know anything, could you please tell me? Don't worry, I just want to figure out what's going on. Li Yu let out a sigh. Brother Li, actually, I've always felt like I should tell you, but I was afraid of sticking my nose where it didn't belong. Just tell me, I said. That guy is the company partner's nephew. His name is Lu Bo. He was transferred to the company last year to be the risk management director. He does drive a black Land Rover. Li Yu lowered her voice. There were rumors going around the company about him and boss Lu. People said they were getting very close, going on business trips together, attending social events together. But no one dared to say it out loud. After all, you know how it is. Lu Bo, the risk management director, have they ever gone out alone together? I asked. Yes. Li Yu's voice dropped even lower. At the company's annual party last year, someone saw them in the hotel hallway, walking with their arms around each other. And another time during overtime, I went to drop off some files. The door wasn't closed all the way. I saw Lu Bo, sitting right on her desk. I gripped my phone tightly, my nails digging deep into my palm. Do the higher-ups at the company know about all this? They probably know, but they just turn a blind eye to it. Lu Bo has a powerful background, and boss Lu is highly capable. As long as it doesn't affect the work. Li Yu let out another sigh. Brother Li, are you okay? I'm okay, I said. Thank you, Xiao Li. Hanging up the phone, I looked up at the 18th floor. One of the windows still had its lights on. That was Lu Ruyan's office. A black SUV. Lu Bo, the risk management director, the partner's nephew. So that's how it is. Getting promoted to director requires an evaluation of family stability. Maybe what truly required stability was her relationship with Lu Bo. My phone buzzed again. This time, it was Zhang Ming calling. Old Li, I found it. His tone was extremely rushed. Kitchen Capital is just a shell company. The registered capital is only 500,000, and their actual business operations are practically zero. Your 2.8 million investment has very likely already been siphoned off. Transferred where? I asked, still looking into it. But the more crucial part is, Zhang Ming paused for a second. That Zhao Feng guy isn't Lu Ruyan's cousin at all. He's her high school classmate. He went abroad 8 years ago and only came back last year. The actual owner is Lu Ruyan. She just used Zhao Feng's identity as a front. A cold wind whipped down my collar. A chill ran through my entire body. And there's more, Zhang Ming said. I had a friend pull Lu Ruyan's bank statements. It's not the complete picture, but you can tell that over the past 2 years. The account holder she's been transferring to is named Lu Bo. Lu Bo, 25,000 a month. For 2 years, that's 600,000 in total. What the hell is this money for? I asked, my voice sounding a bit hoarse. The memo says, consulting fees. Zhang Ming said, but Lu Bo is a full-time employee at Chichen Capital. He already has a salary. So this is very likely a sugar baby allowance. As I muttered those words, my stomach completely churned. Old Li, where are you right now? Are you safe? Zhang Ming asked. I'm right downstairs from her office. Go home first. Zhang Ming's tone was dead serious. Gather up all the evidence. We'll meet up and talk it through tomorrow. And remember, do not confront her directly. She's backed into a corner right now. There's no telling what she might do. I stared up at the lit window on the 18th floor. Okay, I hung up the phone, and took one last look at the building. Before turning around and heading to the subway station, the train was almost empty. I sat alone in a corner, and opened my phone's photo gallery. I backed up all the photographic evidence to my cloud drive. Lu Ruyan's fury, my mother-in-law's panic, Li Yu's testimony, and Zhang Ming's investigation. It all felt like a giant net that was slowly pulling tight. By the time I got home, it was almost 12 o'clock. I flicked on the lights. The living room was completely empty. I walked into the study. The safe was sitting there quietly. The passcode was 1012. I opened it up again, and took out that U South B flash drive. This time, I typed in Lu Bo's birthday. I'd accidentally caught a glimpse of Lu Ruyan unlocking her phone last year. It was 0803. Incorrect password. What the hell could it be? I stared hard at the flash drive, then suddenly remembered a habit Lu Ruyan had. She liked using an anniversary date, followed by name initials for her important passwords. Let's give this a try. I typed in 1012. XL. Click. The flash drive unlocked. Inside, there was only one folder, named Backup. I opened it. Inside were scanned documents, a house purchase contract, a property deed, bank transfer records, the purchase contract, buyer, Lu Ruyan. The address was a high-end riverside complex. Riverside number 1, area 160 square meters. Total price, 10 million. The signing date was May of last year, the 3rd month of my father's hospitalization. Property owner, Lu Ruyan. Sole ownership. The bank transfer records were split into 8 transactions, 1,250,000 each, sent from different accounts. Ultimately, they all went into the developer's account. The senders included Zhao Feng, Lu Bo, and a few unfamiliar names. A 10 million house. While my father was on his deathbed, while I was desperately begging for money everywhere, she bought a 10 million house. Registered solely under her name. I took screenshots one by one. My hands were shaking so hard I could barely hold my phone. The last document was a draft of a will. I, Lou Rion, in the event of an accident, all assets under my name, including the Riverside No. 1 property, equity and kitchen capital, bank deposits and so on, shall be inherited entirely by Mr. Liu Bo. My husband, Li Zefeng, has fulfilled his maintenance obligations and no longer has inheritance rights. The date, 4 months ago. I stared blankly at the screen, my vision going dark. So that's how it was. Everything was premeditated from the very start. My father's illness was just a catalyst, making her desperate to shake off the burden that is me. To go embrace her new life, her new house, her new man. My phone suddenly rang. It was Lou Rion. I answered the call, but didn't say a single word. Li Zefeng, are you home? Her voice was eerily calm. We need to have a serious talk. Talk about what? I asked. Talk about how to part on good terms, she said. I know you went through my things. Since it's come to this, we might as well lay all our cards on the table. I clenched the flash drive tightly. How exactly do you want to part? You keep the house, the one we're living in now, she said. There isn't much in savings, but you can have it all. I'll take the car. Let's just get an uncontested divorce. Split up quietly, and let's not make a big scene out of this. And what about the one at Riverside No. 1? I asked. Dead silence fell over the other end of the line. After a long while, she said, so, you know everything. 10 million, I said. Lou Rion, where did you get that kind of money? That doesn't matter. Her voice turned ice cold. Li Zefeng, I'm trying to play nice here. Don't push your luck. If you make a scene, you won't get a single cent. I have plenty of ways to leave you with absolutely nothing. Like what? I asked. Like, she smirked. That 60,000 scam your dad fell for? I set that up. My blood ran completely cold. What did you just say? Didn't you hear me? She drawled slowly. That little investment plan of his? I had someone pitch it to him. 60,000. Not too much, not too little. Just enough to teach him a lesson. To stop him from expecting his son to fund his retirement. Too bad he was so tough. And didn't just collapse from the stress. I slumped into my chair, my ears ringing. Oh, right. There's one more thing, Lou Rion went on. Before your dad's surgery, remember how the doctor said if they'd caught it 3 months earlier, his survival rate would be 80%? Do you know why it was 3 months late? I opened my mouth, but no sound came out. Because I hid his medical records, she said casually. When his company did their annual physicals that year, I was the one who picked up the results. Early stage liver cancer. I ripped that page right out. And told him he was perfectly healthy. I was going to wait until he was terminal to tell you. I didn't expect the pain to get so bad that he'd go get it checked himself. Tears streamed down my face without warning. I covered my mouth, shaking uncontrollably. Why? I asked, my voice completely shot. Lou Rion, why? She just laughed. Because your father was a burden. A widowed old man, with a pathetic little pension and terrible health insurance. If he got sick or paralyzed later on, he'd be nothing but a dead weight on us. How could I let my husband be dragged down by someone like that? So you just wanted him gone? It wasn't me, it was fate. She corrected me. I just gave fate a little push. It's a shame. He was so stubborn. We wasted 500,000 or 600,000 on him, and he still pulled through. But whatever. He's out of the picture now. You should feel relieved. I closed my eyes, as the tears flooded out. All those days and nights. My father's agony, my absolute despair. The humiliation of begging for money, the trembling in my hands when I signed his critical condition notices. It turned out she was the one pulling the strings the entire time. Li Zefeng, listen to me. Lou Rion's tone softened a bit. Let's just sign the divorce papers. Take this old house and walk away quietly. The Binjong No. 1 property, the company shares. You don't get to touch any of that. You can't afford to mess with a guy like Liu Bo. If you make a scene, you won't even be able to keep your job. I opened my eyes, staring at the files on my computer screen. The property contracts, the bank transfers, the will, and the very last folder on the USB drive, named audio recordings. I clicked it open. Inside were dozens of audio files, spanning across 2 whole years. The most recent one was from yesterday. With trembling hands, I played yesterday's recording. First, it was Lou Rion talking in the stairwell. That incident on October 5th last year when my dad reported being scammed out of 60,000. Did you know about that? Then, a long silence. The recording kept going. It was right after I left. Lou Rion made another call in that stairwell. Her voice was full of laughter. Relax. That idiot doesn't know a thing. The money is already washed clean, and the house is in your name. It's foolproof. As for my mom, I'm just putting on a show. Once her back heals, I'm sending her straight to a nursing home. And Li Zefeng? Just throw him that old house to get rid of him. Oh, by the way, I'm coming over to your place tonight. I miss you. In the background, a man chuckled softly. You better hurry then. I just bought a great bottle of wine. The recording ended. I sat there in the dark, my whole body turning ice cold. Through the phone, Lu Rian was still talking. I'll give you exactly 3 days to think it over. Sign the papers, and we're officially done. Otherwise, I cut her off. Otherwise what? Otherwise, she lowered her voice. I can't guarantee who the main culprit of your dad's 60,000 scam case might turn out to be. I laughed. I laughed so hard that tears started falling. Lu Rian, I said. My voice was so dead calm it even scared me. I'll give you 3 days, too. What? She asked. Within 3 days you will transfer the Binjong No. 1 property into my name. Plus, you're going to pay my father's medical bills and 3 million for emotional damages. That's 15,800,000 in total. She froze for a few seconds. Then she burst out laughing. Li Zefeng, are you out of your mind? I'm not crazy. I clicked on another file on my computer. It was the evidence folder I had just put together. It had everything, photos of the documents, and all the bank statements. The flash drive recording. I just suddenly figured it all out. When you're pushed to the absolute edge, you stop holding back. Are you threatening me? She asked. No, I said. I'm just giving you a heads up. I hung up the phone and blocked her on absolutely everything. Outside the window, the night was pitch black, but the city lights were blinding. Like an upside-down galaxy, I sat alone in the study, turned on every single light and started sorting through the evidence. Categorizing the documents one by one, marking the audio files piece by piece. Piecing together the timeline, clue by clue. At exactly 3 a.m., Zhang Ming sent a text. Are you asleep? I typed back, number. Just finished compiling the evidence. Send it over, let me take a look. I sent over the zip file. 10 minutes later, my phone rang. Old Lee. His voice was actually shaking. These recordings, she actually confessed to hurting your dad. Yeah, I replied. It's attempted murder. Zhang Ming took a sharp breath. Throw in the massive asset transfers, the cheating and abandoning a family member. It's more than enough to lock her up. I don't want her in jail. I said flatly. Then, what exactly do you want? I want to strip her of absolutely everything. I stared out the window at the breaking dawn. The house, the money, her career, her lover. I'm going to make her lose it all, piece by piece. Exactly how she did it to me. Zhang Ming went completely silent for a moment. What do you need me to do? Find me a damn good lawyer, I said. No, find me the absolute best legal team in the city. As for the fees, use my dad's 60 grand first. I'll figure out the rest if it's not enough. Alright, Zhang Ming agreed. And one more thing, I added. Dig up everything you can on Lu Bo's background. If he really is the partner's nephew. What is he so terrified of? What exactly is he hiding? Loud and clear, Zhang Ming replied. I ended the call and walked into the bathroom. I turned on the shower, letting the scalding water crash down on me. I slumped to the floor, and finally broke down sobbing. I cried for my dad. I cried for those agonizing 93 days. And I cried for 8 damn years of pure stupidity. When the tears finally stopped, I stood up and dried myself off, staring into my bloodshot, swollen eyes in the mirror. From today on, Li Zefeng is done crying. Now, he's going to make the people who deserve it cry. 3 days later, 2 o'clock in the afternoon, I was sitting at Riverside Premier, in the tea house right across from the sales office, by the window. Zhang Ming sat across from me. Next to him was a woman in her 50s, a calm and composed lawyer named Zhou. She is Zhang Ming's mentor, specializing in property disputes and criminal cases. All the documents are ready. Attorney Zhou slid a folder across the table. The lawsuit, the evidence list, and the asset freeze request. The second the court processes this, every single asset under Lu Rian's name will be frozen. I opened the file. Inside were dense blocks of legal jargon, right down at the signature line. She is here. Zhang Ming looked out the window. Lu Rian's white BMW pulled up to the curb. She got out, wearing a sharp business suit, her hair styled flawlessly. A guy in his 30s stepped out of the passenger seat. Buzz cut, wearing a black jacket. He naturally wrapped his arm right around her waist. Lu Bo. The two of them walked into the sales center laughing and chatting, looking just like a couple buying a house. No, they are the buyers. Should we head over now? Zhang Ming asked. Wait a bit longer, I said. We watched them walk into the sales center, and 10 minutes later, they came out. Got in the car, and drove away. I sent Lu Rian a text message, using a brand new number. 3 o'clock. Meet me at the old house. Bring everything you promised. She texted back almost instantly. You are going to regret this. I completely ignored her. I hailed a cab and told the driver. To Genuine Estate. That was our current home. I had already tidied up the house a bit. My father's memorial portrait was set right in the middle of the living room. 3 sticks of incense were burning in front of it. At exactly 3 o'clock, The doorbell rang. I opened the door. Lu Rian stood out there alone, her face dark with anger. She glanced at Zhang Ming and Attorney Zhou sitting inside, and let out a cold scoff. Brought backup, huh? I brought witnesses, I said. Please, come in. She walked in, caught sight of my father's portrait. Froze for a second, then quickly darted her eyes away. Where is the agreement? She cut straight to the point. I pushed over the folder Attorney Zhou had prepared. Right here. 15,800,000 wired within 3 days, and we are completely even. She flipped it open, read a few lines, and her face drastically changed. You want me to? This is not a property settlement. This is clearly a written confession, Attorney Zhou said calmly. Ms. Lu, based on the evidence provided by your husband, you are suspected of marriage fraud, asset embezzlement, abandoning family members, and orchestrating a scam that deliberately worsened a patient's medical condition. If we take this to court, you're looking at a prison sentence of over 10 years. Lu Rian shot up from her chair. Li Zefeng, you actually dare to do this? Why wouldn't I? I stared dead into her eyes. You had the nerve to harm my father. So I have the nerve to throw you in prison. That evidence is completely faked. She screamed. I never said those things. The audio is a deep fake. Is it? I pulled out my phone, and played the final audio clip from the flash drive. Her voice echoed clearly through the speaker. Your dad's investment plan? I set someone up to pitch it to him. I hid his medical report. It was early-stage liver cancer. I just tore that page out. Lu Rian's face instantly drained of all color. That's impossible. I swear I deleted that. I let out a cold laugh. Lu Rian, you really underestimated me. From the moment I found out the safe's password was the exact date of my dad's surgery. I knew you were up to no good. So, every single time I checked your devices, I set up a real-time sync to my cloud drive. The files you deleted were nothing but copies. She stumbled backwards in a panic, crashing hard into the dining table. Oh, and there's more. I tapped on another file. It was a conversation between her and Lu Bo. The money has been completely washed. The house is officially in your name. So, Lu Rian, tell me, if I send this tape straight to the tax authorities, how deep do you think they'll dig into Lu Bo's accounts? And if I leak it to the board of directors at Kitchen Capital, do you really think they'll still promote you to director? Cold sweat began to bead and roll down her forehead. You, what the hell do you want from me? Sign the agreement. I slid a pen across the table. 15,800,000. That's the price to buy your freedom. Otherwise, by tomorrow morning, all of this evidence will be sitting on the desks of the police, the tax authorities, the board of directors at Kitchen Capital, and in the hands of Lu Bo's fiancé. She violently snapped her head up. What did you just say? Lu Bo has a fiancé? Oh, didn't you know? I asked with a wicked smirk. She's the daughter of a top bank executive. They literally just got engaged last month. I wonder what she'll do when she finds out Lu Bo is keeping a mistress back home and illegally funneling assets. Lu Rian collapsed heavily into her chair, her eyes completely glazed over. After a long, dead silence, she spoke in a hoarse, broken voice. I don't have 15,800,000. That Binjong 1 condo is worth 10 million. Plus the 2,800,000 from Kitchen Capital, and whatever you've scraped together over the last few years. Scrape it all together, and it should be just enough. But that condo belongs to Lu Bo. She choked out. Is that so? I flipped open the copy of the property deed. The owner is Lu Rian. Sole ownership. The source of the purchase funds is unknown. Suspected of money laundering. Lu Rian, tell me, is it easier for me to sue you and take this house back? Or is it easier for you to make Lu Bo give up this house? She held her head in her hands, trembling all over. I knew it. She was wavering. Once you sign it, transfer the house to me, the money hits the account, and we get a divorce. My voice softened a bit. You can keep playing your little investment manager and stay with your precious Lu Bo. But from now on, we owe each other nothing. She looked up at me, her eyes bloodshot. Li Zefeng, you are so ruthless. I learned from the best. I met her gaze. The clock ticked away. The incense in the burner burned out. The gray-white ash broke and fell to the table. Lu Rian finally reached out and picked up the pen. The moment the pen tip touched the paper, the doorbell suddenly rang. We both froze. I got up to open the door. Outside stood Lu Bo. His face was livid, followed by 2 men in black suits. Lu Rian, he stormed in. Are you out of your mind? What the hell are you signing? Lu Rian panicked and stood up. Bo, how did I know? Lu Bo sneered, turning to me. Li Zefeng, right? You think you won? He marched right up to the dining table, grabbed the agreement, and ripped it straight in half. Let me tell you something. He glared dead at me. The house at Riverside 1 is mine, and the money is mine too. Lu Rian? She's nothing but a little pet cat I keep around. You really thought you could use her to touch my things? He threw the shredded paper right in my face. In your dreams. Zhang Ming and Lawyer Zhou stood up. Lawyer Joe warned in a deep voice. Mr. Liu, please watch your behavior. Behavior? Liu Bo laughed, and shot a look at the two men behind him. Search the place. The two men headed straight for the study. What the hell are you doing? I tried to stop them, but one of the men shoved me hard out of the way. Liu Rian panicked. Bo, please stop this. Those things can't be. Can't be what? Liu Bo glared at her. Did you really think I trusted you? The stuff in your safe. I backed it up ages ago. Liu Rian looked as if she had been struck by lightning. The two men walked out of the study, holding the file folder in U South B drive from the safe. And the box of my father's belongings that I had hidden. Give that back. I rushed over. A man easily restrained me. Liu Bo opened the box of belongings. Inside were my father's photos, medical records, and those 93 medical bills. He picked up the bills, flipped through them casually, and laughed. How touching. He pulled out the very bottom one. It was the final bill from the day my father passed away. The amount was 0. The remarks said, patient deceased. Settlement complete. Liu Bo ripped that piece of paper to shreds. I struggled. Tears welled up in my eyes. What are you crying for? He scattered the torn pieces on the floor. Your dad is dead. Your wife is mine, your house, and your money will all be mine in the future. Li Zefeng, what do you have to fight me with? He walked up to me and lifted my chin. I heard your dad was in a lot of pain before he died. Late-stage liver cancer. Hurt so much he bit his own lip, right? What a pity. It didn't hurt him to death. The blood rushed to my head. Do you know, I heard my own voice trembling. I've been recording. The smile on Liu Bo's face instantly froze. The progress bar on the recording interface was still silently moving forward. You son of a bitch. Liu Bo squeezed out those words through clenched teeth, suddenly turning to the two men in black suits behind him. Smash everything to pieces, just as the two men were about to move. The screen showed an active call interface. The call duration had already passed 20 minutes. Mr. Liu, I suggest you calm down. Lawyer Joe's voice was as steady as if he were stating the weather. Since the moment you walked in, our call has remained connected. On the other end of the line is Captain Liu from the City Police Department's Economic Crimes Unit. He heard what you just said about, the house is mine, and hurt him to death. He is very interested in those remarks. Liu Bo's face went from livid to completely white. He glared at Lawyer Joe in disbelief, then turned his head to look at me. I bent down and picked up the fragments of the medical bills from the floor piece by piece, carefully gathering them into the palm of my hand. Liu Bo, I stood up straight and put the pieces into my shirt pocket, right next to my heart. Did you really think you were the only one who could get backup? I raised my head. Did you think that in Long Country, having money and connections means you can do whatever the hell you want? My uncle is the deputy chief. Liu Bo roared, but his voice no longer had the confidence it did a moment ago. Even a deputy chief has to act according to the law, Zhang Ming chimed in, simultaneously pressing a button on his phone. A crystal-clear audio recording began playing out loud. It was exactly everything Liu Bo had said since walking through the door. Not to mention, your fiancé's father, your future father-in-law. I believe he's currently competing with your uncle for the director's seat. Tell me, what do you think he'd do if I mailed this recording to him anonymously? Liu Bo looked as if all the strength had been drained from his body and stumbled a step back. He crashed into the edge of the dining table. Only then did Liu Rian snap out of her shock. She threw herself at him, desperately grabbing his arm. Bo, what do we do now? You have to think of something. Get the hell away from me. Liu Bo violently shoved her aside. He glared at me with pure venom in his eyes. What the hell do you want? My previous terms still stand, I said. However, thanks to your little stunt just now, the price just went up. On top of the 15,800,000 we agreed on. As compensation for insulting my father, I also want something else. You will write a formal confession, admitting that you orchestrated the fraud against my father, and that you tried to silence me with illegal threats. In your dreams, Liu Bo roared. Well then, let's test that theory. I calmly picked up my phone, tapping away for a few seconds, then flipped the screen for him to see. It showed an email drafted and ready to send. The recipient box was packed with over a dozen email addresses. The top two were glaringly obvious. The Dragon State Tax Bureau Whistleblower Center, and the entire board of directors at Chi-Chen Capital. Down in the attachments, there were scanned copies of the property contract, the bank transfer logs, the proxy equity agreements, and a photo of the very payment slip Liu Bo had just torn to shreds. All I have to do is hit send. I hovered my finger just above the screen. Your little tax evasion problem, the internal audit at your uncle's firm, and the absolute fury of your fiancé's family will all come crashing down on you within 24 hours. Take a wild guess. When that happens, will your dear uncle, the deputy director, Stick his neck out for you or save his own skin? A deathly silence fell over the room. The only sound was the relentless tick-tock of the wall clock, beating like a heavy drum against everyone's chest. Lu Bo was hyperventilating, his chest heaving violently. A thick layer of cold sweat broke out on his forehead. He stared, completely paralyzed, at my phone screen, then glanced at Lawyer Joe's ongoing phone call before his eyes finally settled on Lu Rian's terrified, pale face. Every agonizing second ticked by, until finally, Lu Bo forced the words out through gritted teeth. Transferring the property takes time. I've got all the time in the world, I replied coldly. But you don't. By 9 o'clock next Monday morning, I expect to see the official transfer receipt from the Real Estate Bureau. As for the cash, you can pay it in 3 installments. But the first payment of $8 million must hit my account before close of business this Friday. I don't have that kind of liquid cash. Sounds like a you problem. I slipped my phone back into my pocket. Lu Bo. You and I both know, $8 million to a guy like you is just moving pocket change from left to right. Lu Bo's face cycled through a spectrum of ugly colors. He violently yanked out his phone, storming out to the balcony to make frantic, hushed calls. Lu Rian was left standing frozen, staring at me with hollow, dead eyes. Looking toward the balcony again, his lips trembling, yet unable to utter a single word. My mother-in-law, Chen Shufen, had stepped out of the bedroom at some point. She had clearly heard most of the conversation, and was now clinging to the doorframe, tears streaming down her wrinkled face. What a terrible sin, Zefeng. Our family has completely failed you. Failed your poor father. I didn't even look at her. I just waited in absolute silence. 10 minutes later, Lu Bo walked back in with a dark expression. He slammed his phone onto the table. We'll do the property transfer next Monday. As for the money, I'll wire you $5 million this Friday. The rest will be paid off within 3 months. And the written apology? Lawyer Joe interjected right on cue. Lu Bo shot her a vicious glare, snatching up the pen and notepad from the table. He scribbled down a few hasty lines, slapped his signature on it, and tossed it over. I caught it and quickly glanced at it. The wording was brief, but he admitted to all the crucial points. I'll have a copy notarized and kept on file, Lawyer Joe said, tucking the note away safely. Mr. Lu, I strongly suggest you keep your word. Otherwise, the evidence we hold will be submitted straight to court. Lu Bo didn't answer. He violently yanked Lu Rian, who was still staring blankly. Let's go. Hold on. I called out to stop them. Lu Bo whipped his head around, glaring at me with pure murder in his eyes. I pulled that unopened box of protein powder from my pocket, walked right up to Lu Rian, and shoved it toward her. Here, take this back. My dad didn't have the luxury of drinking it. I hope your mother puts it to good use. Lu Rian stared at the box, the color instantly draining from her face like a ghost. She swatted the box away frantically, letting out a piercing scream, as Lu Bo aggressively dragged her out the door. With a massive bang, the door slammed shut. Just the 3 of us were left in the room, surrounded by the total wreckage on the floor. Zhang Ming let out a massive sigh of relief, and finally turned off his phone's voice recorder. Damn, Li. What you just did, that was way too close. Lawyer Joe also wrapped up her call, saying a quick, thanks, Captain Lu, into the receiver before turning to face me. Mr. Li, I'll personally handle every step of the remaining legal paperwork. Scum like Lu Bo won't just roll over and take this. We need to brace ourselves for his retaliation. I nodded slowly, feeling completely and utterly drained of energy, and slumped onto the sofa. I stared at the 3 sticks of incense burning down to nothing before my dad's portrait, the ashes silently piling up. At least we got a piece of the revenge my dad deserves. I whispered softly, but this is only the beginning. Lawyer Joe's expression was dead serious. The financial payout and penalties are just step 1. Lu Rian intentionally hid those medical records, completely sabotaging your father's treatment. Once we lock down the evidence, we are slapping her with criminal charges. And as for Lu Bo, his crimes are far worse. Tax evasion, laundering dirty money, bigamy. As long as our chain of evidence is rock solid, putting him behind bars won't be a problem. What do I need to do? I asked. Keep gathering every single piece of evidence you can find. Lawyer Joe said, also, watch your back right now. A desperate man is dangerous, and Lu Bo might do something completely reckless. Zhang Ming patted my shoulder. Old Li, just crash at my place for a few days. You're not safe staying here all alone. I thought about it, and shook my head. No, I'm staying right here. My dad bought me this house. I'm not going anywhere. Lu Bo moved even faster than I thought he would. By Thursday afternoon, Lawyer Joe had already called. And on Friday morning, my bank account received the first transfer of $5 million. Staring at that long string of numbers on my phone, I felt absolutely zero joy. Just an icy, dead calm. This money is soaked in my father's blood and tears. Jiang Ming helped me reach out to a solid financial firm. As the investigation went deeper, more and more dirty secrets came to light. Lu Bo's so-called director of risk management title was nothing but a complete front. He used Kitchen Capital's projects to wash dirty money for a bunch of shell companies. The total amount was well over 200 million. And Lu Rian wasn't just his mistress, she was his most crucial money mule inside the company. The funds moving through her accounts all ended up overseas, but what chilled me to the bone was the investigation showed that, as early as 4 years ago, that hidden medical report of my dad's was probably Lu Rian's venomous scheme to divorce me and get away clean. She was terrified my dad would drag her down and ruin her beautiful future with Lu Bo. This is more than enough to lock them up. Jiang Ming slammed a thick stack of files in front of me. Old Li, when are you making a move? I flipped through the horrifying documents and stayed silent for a long time. Wait a bit longer, I said. I'm waiting for my mother-in-law to leave the hospital. Why? Jiang Ming couldn't understand. Chen Shufen knew exactly what her daughter was doing, but kept covering for her. She's no saint either, I know. I looked out at the gloomy sky. But she's still an old woman. And she just broke a bone. There are some things I need to ask her face to face. On Sunday morning, I brought some freshly cooked porridge to the hospital. My mother-in-law was healing up well. She could sit up by herself now. When she saw me walk in, her eyes were incredibly conflicted. There was guilt, there was fear, and a trace of something I just couldn't read. Zefeng, she began, her voice rough and hoarse. You actually came to see me. I promised I would come. I poured the porridge into a bowl and handed it to her. Have some while it's hot. My mother-in-law took the bowl. Her hands were shaking violently. Some of the porridge spilled, so I took a tissue and wiped it clean for her. My movements were natural and practiced, just like when I used to take care of my father. Zefeng, she suddenly grabbed my hand, her tears falling into the bowl. You are such a good kid. Our family has wronged you, wronged your father. If I had only known that Rian, that she would actually dare to do something so heartless, I would have stopped her no matter what. I didn't pull my hand away. I just asked calmly, Mom, did you really not know? Last Mid-Autumn Festival, you said right to my face that my dad's illness was a bottomless money pit. Back then, did you already know that Lu Rian hid his medical report? My mother-in-law's hands jerked violently, nearly knocking the bowl over. She couldn't bring herself to look me in the eye, just keeping her head down as massive drops of tears kept falling. I only suspected it. She rambled incoherently. Rian was so on edge during that time. I overheard her on the phone once, saying something like, the report has been taken care of. When I asked her about it, she said it was just a work thing. I had no idea it was his medical report. And what about after that? I continued pressing her. My dad was in the hospital for 93 days, and Lu Rian didn't visit a single time. Did you ever call to talk some sense into her? Did you ever, even once, think that she was crossing the line? My mother-in-law began to sob even harder. She let go of my hand and covered her face, her shoulders shaking uncontrollably. I tried. Of course I tried to talk to her, but she just wouldn't listen. She kept saying she was busy with work, that hospitals were bad luck. There was nothing I could do. She's my only daughter. I spoiled her too much growing up. Zefeng, Mom is so sorry. I'll get on my knees and beg for your forgiveness. As she said this, she actually started struggling to get out of bed. I held her down. You don't need to do this. My voice remained completely calm, but the freezing sea inside my heart finally began to ripple. I came here today, not just to bring you some food, but to tell you two things. My mother-in-law looked up at me with tear-blurred eyes. First, I've gathered all the evidence of the illegal things Lu Rian and Lu Bo have done. Very soon, they are going to face the full force of the law. All the color instantly drained from my mother-in-law's face. Her lips trembled, but she couldn't make a single sound. Second, I paused for a moment. The demolition money from that old house. Keep it for your retirement. After this, Lu Rian might not be around to take care of you. After saying that, I stood up and picked up the empty thermos. Zefeng, my mother-in-law cried out mournfully behind me. Can you please let Rian go just this once? She's still young. If she goes to prison, her whole life will be ruined. Mom is begging you. I'll give you all my money. I'll even give you the house. Just give her a way out, please. I stopped at the door. Without turning back, my dad was only 65 this year. I said, he could have lived to be 75, 85. Who refused to give him a way out? The hospital room door clicked shut behind me, cutting off her muffled sobbing inside. As I walked out of the hospital building, a light drizzle began to fall. The freezing rain brushed against my face, clearing my head a little. My phone buzzed. It was a message from Attorney Joe. Mr. Lee, all the evidence has been fully compiled. We are ready to submit it to the police and the prosecutor's office at any time. Also, his embezzlement of company funds can't be covered up anymore. I replied, let's go to the police station together on Monday morning. At 9 o'clock on Monday morning, Attorney Joe, Zhang Ming and I arrived right on time at the Economic Crimes Division of the City Police Department. The officer there looked to be in his 40s, with a stern face and piercing eyes. After reading through the thick stack of evidence we brought, his expression grew increasingly heavy. These files are incredibly thorough. Especially these audio recordings. They are the key evidence. Captain Liu set down the final page and looked at us with deep seriousness. Mr. Li, you need to prepare yourself mentally. The amount of money involved in this case is massive, and the suspects have powerful social connections. The investigation might take a very long time, and we'll probably face a lot of pushback. I understand. I nodded. No matter how long it takes, I will cooperate until the very end. All I want is justice. Don't worry, the law will give you that justice. Captain Liu stood up. I'll get my team to open the case immediately, and we will take restrictive measures against Liu Bo and Liu Rian. Walking out of the police station, the sky had actually cleared up. Sunlight pierced through the clouds, hitting the wet streets and reflecting a shimmering glow. Old Li, what are your plans now? Zhang Ming asked me. I'll head back to work at the magazine first. I replied, I've taken way too much time off. If I don't go back now, I'm really going to lose my job. Attorney Joe laughed and said, I'm afraid it'd be hard for you to lose your job right now even if you tried. Word of what happened to you has already spread all over the industry. A lot of media outlets wanted an interview, but we shut them all down. The editor-in-chief of your magazine even contacted me yesterday, saying they wanted to do an exclusive interview with you. To spread some positive energy. I shook my head. Let's forget about the interview. I just want some peace and quiet for a while. For the next few days, life seemed to return to normal. I clocked in and out on time every day, carefully reviewing manuscripts, proofreading, and occasionally chatting with my colleagues. But I knew, beneath this calm surface, dark currents were surging. On Wednesday afternoon, I was editing a prose piece when my phone rang. It was an unknown number. I picked it up. A young man was on the other end, his voice sounding anxious. Is this Mr. Li Zefeng? I'm a doctor from the emergency department at the First People's Hospital. Your mother-in-law, Ms. Chen Shufen, just took a fall in her ward. Her condition isn't looking good. Can you come over right away? My heart skipped a beat. Even though I resented my mother-in-law, hearing that she was in trouble, my heart still sank instinctively. I'll be right there. I hung up, asked my editor-in-chief for some time off, and rushed straight to the hospital. By the time I reached the emergency department, she had already been wheeled into the resuscitation room. A nurse told me that she fell while trying to get out of bed and hit her head. Preliminary checks suggested a possible brain bleed. Where's the rest of her family? Why are you the only one here? The nurse asked. Her daughter. I paused for a second. I can't reach her right now. I'll sign the papers. I will take full responsibility. After signing the forms, I sat on the bench outside the room, waiting. People were rushing back and forth in the hallway, which reeked of disinfectant and pure anxiety. This whole scene felt way too familiar. Just last year, I was sitting outside this exact room, waiting for news about my own father. Except back then, my heart was filled with both terror and hope. But right now, all I felt was a complicated, numb sort of peace. Over an hour later, the emergency room doors finally opened. The doctor walked out and pulled down his mask, looking incredibly grim. The patient's condition is stable for now, but the bleeding is pressing against her nerves. We need to operate immediately. However, given her advanced age and underlying health issues, the surgery is extremely risky. Your family needs to be mentally prepared for the worst. What are the chances of success? I asked. Less than 50%. The doctor told it to me straight. And even if the surgery goes well, she might still be left with severe after-effects, like partial paralysis, or the loss of her speech. I fell silent for a moment. Please get your best surgeon for this. Money is not an issue. The doctor gave me a look, then nodded. We'll do everything we can. Please go and get the paperwork sorted. I got up, went to the payment window, and swiped my card. Entered my PIN, all in one smooth motion. Watching the long receipt print out from the card reader, I suddenly remembered those medical bills from last year. Difference is, this time, I had enough money in my account. The surgery was scheduled for 8 o'clock that night. I sent a message to Zhang Ming explaining the situation. Do you need me to come over? He quickly replied, no need, I can handle it, I replied. At 7:30 in the evening, the nurses wheeled my mother-in-law to the operating room. As they passed by me, my mother-in-law suddenly opened her eyes. Her gaze was a bit unfocused, but when she saw me, it visibly brightened. She struggled to lift her uninjured hand. Her lips moved. I leaned in close, and heard her say in an incredibly weak voice, Zefeng, I'm sorry. Tell Rian, Mom doesn't blame her. My hand gently gripped her freezing fingers. You're going to be okay, I said. She seemed to want to smile, but couldn't quite manage it. She just weakly squeezed my fingers and then was wheeled into the operating room. The red light turned on. I sat back down on that familiar bench. Time slowly ticked by. The sky outside the window turned completely pitch black. My phone screen lit up. It was a text from Lu Rian. This was the first time she had contacted me since Lu Bo got arrested. The message was long. Li Zefeng, I heard about what happened to Mom. Thank you for still taking care of her. I've thought a lot while in the detention center. I was wrong. So incredibly wrong. I'm not asking for your forgiveness. I just beg you not to hate Mom. She didn't know anything. It was all my idea. Lu Bo pushed all the blame onto me, saying he was just seduced by me. It doesn't matter. I accept it. This is the punishment I deserve. I just hope Mom pulls through safely. If the worst happens to her, please take good care of her for me. What I owe you, I'll repay in the next life. I stared at that text message for a very long time. I didn't reply with a single word. At 1 in the morning, the operating room lights finally went out. The doctor walked out, looking exhausted, and nodded at me. The surgery was a great success. The bleeding has been cleared. However, the patient is quite old, so recovery will take a very long time. And the mobility in her left arm and leg might be permanently affected. Thank you, doctor, I said with genuine gratitude. No need to thank me. It's our duty. The doctor paused for a moment. The anesthesia hasn't worn off yet, but when she was briefly awake earlier, she kept calling your name. Once she's transferred to the intensive care unit, you can go in and see her. I said my thanks once more, watching my mother-in-law being wheeled out. She was taken to the ICU. Through the glass, I saw her hooked up to all sorts of tubes, just lying there quietly. The numbers on the monitor were beeping steadily. She was still alive, and that was enough. 3 months later, my mother-in-law, Chen Shufen, was discharged and moved into a pretty nice nursing home on the east side of town. The left side of her body wasn't very responsive, so she needed a wheelchair. But her spirits had recovered well. She could chat and laugh. Her memory was just a bit fuzzy, often forgetting things the second after she said them. I'd visit her once a week, bringing along some of her favorite pastries, and wheel her out into the courtyard to catch some sun. She rarely brought up Lu Rian, and when she occasionally did, she'd just mutter, "When is Rian coming back to see me?" I'd always just brush it off vaguely, telling her she was busy with work, away on a business trip. As for Lu Rian and Lu Bo's case, it had already entered the legal process. Because the amount of money involved was so massive, and the evidence was rock solid, the prosecutor's office quickly pressed charges. On the day of the trial, I didn't go to watch. Zhang Ming went, and when he got back, he told me that Lu Rian pleaded guilty to all charges in court, showing a really cooperative attitude. But Lu Bo, he tried every excuse in the book, trying to pin all the blame entirely on her. Lu Bo's uncle definitely wanted to pull some strings, but the money involved this time was just too big. It caught the attention of the higher-ups, so he didn't dare interfere. Lu Rian's lawyer tried to push for probation, but the prosecutor argued she acted with extreme malice. And the consequences were severe, so they pushed for a heavy sentence. As for the final verdict, they still had to wait for the court's deliberation. I just nodded. I didn't say a word. 2 months later, the verdict finally came down. For embezzlement, money laundering, bigamy, and a bunch of other charges all rolled together, Lu Bo was sentenced to 15 years in prison. And all of his personal assets were confiscated. As for Lu Rian, for intentional injury, well, indirect injury, embezzlement, harboring a criminal, and other charges, she was sentenced to 7 years in prison. The day the sentence was handed down, it was drizzling. Holding an umbrella, I made my way to the cemetery on the outskirts of town. My father's tombstone had been swept perfectly clean. In the photo, his smile was as gentle as ever. I took a copy of the verdict and set it on fire right in front of his grave. The dark ashes drifted away in the light rain, melting into the soil. "Dad, the people who hurt you, they've finally been punished," I whispered softly. "You can rest in peace now." The photo of my father. He was still smiling gently, as if he was telling me, "Zefeng, live a good life for yourself." When I got back from the cemetery, I got a call from the editor-in-chief at the magazine. "Hey, Lee, we had a meeting at the office. We've decided to move you back to the managing editor position, and your salary will be restored to its original tier. Plus, you're getting a 1-level raise." The chief's voice was filled with warmth. "Everyone has seen how hard you've been working lately. Keep up the great work. As for the deputy editor-in-chief position, I think you've got a really good shot at it." "Thank you, Chief," I replied. "Oh, by the way, there's one more thing." The chief paused for a moment. "The Provincial Writers Association is putting together a life and family themed essay contest. The company submitted that piece you wrote last year, 93 days, as our entry. I really think you have a great chance. You should get ready, because you might need to head up to the provincial capital for the awards ceremony. I froze for a second. 93 Days was written right after my father passed away. It was an essay I wrote in absolute agony, documenting every little detail of those 93 days. Once I finished it, I locked it away in a drawer and never showed it to a single soul. The chief had spotted it by accident once, when he came over to my place to discuss a manuscript. He insisted on taking it for publication, and it actually sparked quite a reaction. But I had always intentionally avoided talking about it. Chief, don't turn this down, he cut me off. That piece was written from the bottom of your heart, and it moved so many readers. You need to let more people read it, to help them understand the value of cherishing what they have. I stayed silent for a few seconds, then finally said, okay, I'll follow the company's arrangements. 2 months later, the results of the essay contest were announced. 93 Days won first prize. The award ceremony was held in the provincial capital. I wore a simple dress shirt and slacks, standing up there on the podium, holding the heavy trophy in my hands. Below me was a massive crowd of people, lit up by the constant flashing of camera lenses. The host asked me to say a few words for my acceptance speech. This piece was written for my father, I started, my voice echoing through the hall over the microphone. It was written for the final 93 days of his life. And also for my own growth and sheer agony during those 93 days. The entire hall went completely silent. I used to believe that putting up with things and backing down was the only way to hold a family together. But I eventually realized that being kind without setting any boundaries only gives a free pass to toxicity. Whether it's family or romance, all relationships should be a two-way street. They should bring you warmth instead of being a one-sided sacrifice where you're just bled dry. I took a brief pause, then continued, with this trophy in my hands. Please just remember this, before you pour your heart into loving someone else. You have to learn to love yourself first. Guarding your own dignity and boundaries is the absolute best way to honor the people who actually love you. Thunderous applause erupted across the room. I took a deep bow and walked off the stage. Right after the ceremony, a bunch of reporters swarmed over, hoping for an interview. I politely turned them down and slipped quietly out the side door. Just as I reached the door, a familiar figure stopped me. It was Lu Rion's mother, Chen Shufen. A caregiver from the nursing home was pushing her wheelchair. She was wearing clean clothes. Her hair was neatly combed, and she was clutching a cloth bag in her arms. Zefeng, she called out to me with a warm smile. Her eyes were much clearer than before. I saw you on TV. You spoke so beautifully. I walked over, crouched down to meet her eyes, and said, Mom, what brings you here? It's such a long trip. I asked the caregiver to bring me. She handed me the cloth bag from her lap. This is for you. I opened the bag. Inside was a hand-knitted sweater. It was dark blue, with tight, even stitches, and simple bamboo leaf patterns woven around the collar and cuffs. My hands aren't as nimble as they used to be. It took me 3 whole months to finish it, my mother-in-law said, looking a little embarrassed. My eyesight is getting bad, too. I might not have picked the right color. It's perfect, I said softly. Thank you, Mom. She smiled. The wrinkles at the corners of her eyes crinkled happily, like autumn chrysanthemums. Zefeng, you don't need to visit me so often anymore. She suddenly said, you're still young. You need to live your own life. If you meet the right person, don't let her slip away. I'm doing really well here. There are people taking care of me, so please don't worry. I gently squeezed her cold, frail hands. I know. Just focus on resting. I'll still come see you whenever I have time. The caregiver pushed her wheelchair away. I stood right there, watching their backs disappear around the corner. The sweater in my hands felt so soft and warm, carrying that faint, nostalgic scent of mothballs that older folks always seem to have. My phone rang. It was Zhang Ming. Hey Lee, the ceremony is over, right? Let's grab dinner tonight. Lawyer Joe is coming too. She said she has some great news for you. What kind of news? You'll find out when you get here. The usual spot. At 6:30 that evening, I walked into the little diner we always went to. Zhang Ming and Lawyer Joe were already there, with a cake sitting right on the table. I gave them a confused look. To celebrate your award, obviously, Zhang Ming said with a big smile. And besides, Lawyer Joe really does have some good news for you. Joe pulled a document out of her briefcase and slid it across to me. That portion of Lu Bo's assets that got seized? The liquidation is finished. The court has ordered that 1,200,000 be transferred into your account. The money should clear by the end of the week. I stared at the document, completely speechless for a long time. What's wrong? Aren't you happy? Zhang Ming asked. I just shook my head. I just feel like it's all finally over. It is over, but it's also a new beginning. Lawyer Joe raised his teacup. Li Zefeng, from now on, live for yourself. I raised my teacup and gently clinked it against theirs. Outside the window, the city lights were just flickering on, and the traffic flowed endlessly. This city that once made me feel so suffocated and cold, at this moment, under the night sky, actually seemed a little gentle. After dinner, I took a walk along the river all by myself. The early autumn evening breeze carried a slight chill, feeling really nice against my face. I pulled out my phone, and scrolled to an almost unfamiliar name in my contacts. She was an editor from the publishing house. We had contacted each other a few times 2 months ago over a manuscript. She was professional, sharp, and her eyes would crinkle when she smiled. The last time we spoke, she told me, "Mr. Lee, the manuscript is good to go. Next time you're in the city, dinner is on me. We can also chat about your plans for your next book." At the time, I just politely agreed. Right now, looking at that name, I hesitated for a few seconds, and then dialed the number. The call was picked up quickly, and her bright voice came through. "Hello, Mr. Lee. It's a rare surprise to get a call from you. Editor Yi," I said. "I might be heading into the city sometime soon. I was wondering if that dinner offer is still on the table?" It was quiet for a second on the other end, followed by a cheerful laugh. "Of course it is. My treat, anytime. Just let me know in advance when you're coming down, and I'll definitely clear my schedule." "All right," I couldn't help but smile too. "Then, let's do next week." Hanging up the phone, I kept walking down the riverbank. The water was shimmering under the moonlight, quietly flowing far away. I know, the scars of the past won't completely fade. Those 93 days of memories will be etched into my life forever. But I also know, you have to keep moving forward. Carrying the pain, carrying the memories, and carrying the courage to start all over again. "Dad, are you watching?" I whispered softly. "Your son has finally learned how to live for himself."